Good morning, everybody. I'm Norman, and today I'm going to talk about this from an insurance perspective. Okay, first, let me talk about the climate change. As we know, with this Paris consensus that if the RCP with this global temperature, summer temperature, trying to keep at 2 degrees Celsius by 2050, that would be this scenario. And this is the bar to show that actually a lot of areas are still could be within 2 degrees Celsius, this yellow. But in some areas, they could be higher. But with a business as usual approach, that the temperature may be increasing to 5 or 8 degrees Celsius, covering a large area of Asia. Now, this is the greenhouse effect, and then increasing the temperature. And the trend, we can have a look like that. With this 2 degrees Celsius, the temperature would be kept at 2 degrees, and then would flat out until the end of the century. But without doing anything, the temperature will go up to 6 degrees Celsius by the end of 2100. These two diagrams try to show us about the temperature. If we increase it by 3 standard deviation, that could be quite rare. However, this might become a future norm in the future. We can have a look of this 2.6, like 2 degrees Celsius scenario. The temperature, so like about 20% of the land surface areas would be remain this temperature. But for the Southeast Asia, they can still keep warmer. And then it repeats every single year, the high surface temperature. But without doing anything, we can have a look, like about 80% land surface would become, very warm. And then it would go up to 80 or 90%. So this greenhouse effect would make the environment warmer and warmer. So it could create or exacerbate the impact on the environment. So the first thing relating to us is the intensity and the frequency of tropical storms. Because of think about that. With high sea surface temperature, more heat energy can be provided for the cyclones to form. So even though we found that frequency of the cyclones might not necessarily going up, but the intensity does. So if you look at this famous research, we can see that Cat 4 and 5 cyclones could be increasing. Actually, not only in the Atlantic Ocean, but also the Pacific Ocean. That is what we experienced in the past few years. 2013, vividly, you remember how strong the typhoon it was. And it had the 195 miles per hour of wind speed over the open ocean. That was the second highest in the world. Pacific, Atlantic, everywhere. And then Sodilo, 2015, a lot of people in the insurance, over here, you must remember how much impact, talking about 10, 20 billion impact. And the current one happening half a year ago or 8 months ago, Hato. That is affecting Asia because of the greenhouse effect, because of the climate change. So wind is one impact, but the storm surge, sea level rise, combining this climate change, sea level rise could create the potential problems for people living along the coast. So we are living in Hong Kong. Look at that. Our land, you think it is high. However, if the worst case scenario, we may have 1 meter sea level rise by the end of this century. So you may think, okay, our levee, our wall could be high enough, but don't underestimate the combination of the tide, the storm surge, actually just drop down ourselves like the tsunami in Japan because of actually the surface coming from the ocean as well. So this is the environmental problems that the insurance sectors are quite concerned due to the climate change. And so the problems they have is the sea level rise and the increasing tropical cyclone intensity. Then sea level rise, sea temperature, more cyclones, wind, rainfall, and storm surge. In the end, we are talking about the annual average loss due to the losses. Absolute and relative as well. Absolute losses maybe in China particularly. Relative losses in a lot of island states. And talking about the Belt and Road Initiative. What is the risk to those areas as well? And second problem is the significant, because the track could be changed. More cyclones could go north because the warmer in the higher latitudes. So all this could be, they were free from that. But now they had the flooding, they had the typhoon, and also the substorm track because the El Nino, that, in your mind map, that the El Nino now can provide the environment for more cyclones could be formed over the Central Pacific Ocean. That could affect the track, which were used to affect the South China Sea, but now may go up to the mid or East China, Japan. So it changed the location as well. It changed the location. So in the insurance, they're talking about the near term, 5 years, or using the still long-term risk to analyze. But we are talking about increasing the risk load. So combining these two, we are talking about increasing the risk load, annual average loss, and the risk load. In the end, they will increase the premium. Increasing the premium in the soft market, how can they do it? In the end, the soft market they can't increase the premium, but the risk is increasing. So that was the problem. Secondly, quickly, I talk about the environmental impact. Could be like in China, smog. Climate change, let us try to think, because the Arctic Ocean, if it is now getting warmer, this Siberia is still cold with ice. So the temperature gradient is reduced. So that could affect the pool of the East Asian monsoon. So that was making this quite stagnant. In the past, maybe the wind can solve the problem, but now that increase, exacerbate. The water, I don't talk too much about that. Because of the climate change, the water scarcity, the water quality. Even though they said 25% of the drinking water is actually within the national standard, quality standard. So what I would think is the catastrophe risk, environmental risk due to climate change that the insurance sector would be pay attention to. So what I was, insurance products, because for the life, maybe the pollution, water quality, for the non-life catastrophe risk, affecting is a challenge for them to think about the product which, how can they sell to a place that they were not aware of this risk before. So what I would suggest, what we could do from the reinsurance sector or insurance sector is to have a possible participation of three parties: the insurance authority from the government side, the insurance sector from the business side, and academia. We do more research, we can provide more risk assessment, because these are aligned to strategy under this green finance initiative. They talk about adopt environmental risk management system for China external investment. So thinking about what could be the potential problems in the Belt and Road regions. How do they know? How do the insurance sectors know? Okay, they have the expert, but can the research in academia can be fed into the industry. And the insurance authority, how can they coordinate this to make it work for everybody? And also to mandate this environmental pollution liability, because the smog, the pollution, the water, everything would go to, that is the business, would go to the insurance as well. That is what I want to say today. Thank you very much.